February 12, 1809, one of the biggest factors in evolution of slavery, was born. His name was Abraham Lincoln. A child that was fascinated in learning. He first started his education in 1815 when he was 6, then later on went to Illinois. There he still continued his education, but he had a lot of house chores, so he educated himself in his free time. In his free time, he read under his tree and was known for studying and reading. After he finished school, he then married Todd Lincoln, had 4 kids. Only one lived to maturity. The feud between Abraham Lincoln and Stephen Douglas sparked on 1856. They both ran for Senate, but this debate was part of something larger. After the Senate debates, Stephen Douglas and Abraham Lincoln both decided to run for president. While running for president, the debates between them were called the Great Debates, which influenced many of our political wars. As Abraham Lincoln learned more about elections, how they were run, and what to expect, he became more experienced and prepared. The Great Debates also helped Abraham Lincoln in achieving abolition of slavery in the rebelling states. He was also able to preserve the Union. As the Civil War started in 1861, he helped keep the Union together. The Civil War also triggered the process of the Emancipation Proclamation. Many battles in the 4-Year War helped push the favor of anti-slavery forward. Some important battles to anti-slavery are the battles of Bull Run, Antietam, Chancellorsville, Gettysburg, and Vicksburg. The final battle that Abraham Lincoln needed to pass the Emancipation Proclamation was the Battle of Antietam. As the Civil War was important to the Emancipation Proclamation, this was very expensive. There were about 620,000 deaths, millions of injured people, and the territory of the South destroyed. The Civil War, the Emancipation Proclamation was passed. It banned all slavery in the rebelling states. The section of the proclamation states that on the first day of January in the year of our Lord, 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of this state, people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States and shall be then, thenceforward, and forever free. The executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authority thereof, will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons and will do no act or acts to repress such persons or any of them in any efforts they may make for their actual freedom. Gettysburg Address was used to remind us of the people who sacrificed themselves and other people's freedom. It states, now that we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether not nation or any nation so conceived that so dedicated can long endure. We are met on the great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of it as a final resting place for those who died here, that the nation might live. This we may, in all propriety, do, but in a larger sense we cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate. We cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have hallowed it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will never know nor long remember what we say here, while it can never forget what they did here. These two very important statements were released, so were slaves. When the Emancipation Proclamation was passed, all slaves were considered contraband. If you were found with a slave, it would go to a contraband camp, where slaves go. Some slaves, now freed, praised him for being a great, kind person who freed them from abuse. Even though slavery was abolished, racism towards black people still continued. War ended in 1865. With the final battle of Palmito Ranch, the Civil War ended, but there were still many more important events to come. Since the South relied on slave labor for large-scale farming, economy went down. Large-scale farming could no longer be sustained due to the lack of people working. The South was also physically ruined because of the Civil War. As the South recovered from the damage, all black slaves were utterly abolished in the South, even though inequality was still a real problem. The North and the South were also united, and several new amendments were made. One major thing happened after the end of the Civil War: his death. Right after the end of the Civil War, John Wilkes Booth assassinated Abraham Lincoln on April 14, 1865 in the Ford's Theater at Washington, D.C. John Wilkes Booth was a famous actor. He assassinated Abraham Lincoln 5 days after the Confederate general surrendered, ending the Civil War. The manhunt for the killer was one of the biggest hunts. Over 10,000 federal troops, detectives, and police were on the case. By killing Abraham Lincoln and his two possible successors, he hoped that the government would be overthrown. Abraham Lincoln was known for his fight against slavery and is remembered on the $5 bill for the legacy of freeing slaves, on his own holiday, and on the penny for his 100th birthday. He fought against many people's beliefs and wanted equality. He is also remembered for listening to the people and having bravery to fight against the people that wanted slavery. The Union remembers him by his way of keeping the Union balanced, even through war and destruction. His poetic words kept people motivated to do the right thing. The Gettysburg Address, he reminded us to never forget the ones who sacrificed themselves for others, fought for racial equality, and did not give up, even to his very last breath. His motivational speeches won over people to fight against the wrong belief of making one nationality slaves, while the other lived like kings. Today, we remember Abraham Lincoln and his deeds for racial equality, and our history will never forget it.